Okay, good afternoon, everybody, and distinguished panelists and speakers, including Dr. Bhairappa and Dr. Kataria, Mr. Anand Jha, P.K. Bhattacharya, and both the Gangoli's, Dr. Shantanu Ganguly and Subhashis Ganguly, and other colleagues at this panel. I represent Society for Information Research and Studies, which is called SIRS, and we have the mission of the society that it supports and promotes people who work to achieve their vision and develop competency among knowledge professionals, be the leading voice for information, allies, knowledge practitioner, and develop skills and excellence. SERS is a not-for-profit organization spearheading by a group of leading professionals. SERS provide leadership in areas such as core competency development through education in niche areas. We have a commitment to support members to enhance their own performance, provides expertise in information management and development of processes and skills to steer organization successfully in these areas. We also do to educate and empower in LIS professionals who are the budding professionals in the field to develop a strong network of LIS professionals so that we can take the forward and to develop a strong workforce of LIS professionals and to collaborate with esteemed organization. So SERS is a very, new organization. It's about 7 to 8 years old. And we are also going to bring out a journal on the topics, various topics of the library and information science, which is likely, it is in the nascent stage and we are likely to start it soon. So this is all about the SERS. And I really admire today's topic, which is measuring user satisfaction, qualitative and quantitative evaluation of library services. User services are very important, and we have two eminent speakers, Dr. Kataria and Dr. Bhairappa. So we hope to hear them, and I wish you all the best. And thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Now, good afternoon to all of you, our esteemed speakers, participants, and everybody in the SARS, and and the map systems who all are actually present here, and our participants. We are going to discuss on a very specific and very interesting topic today, particularly in the profession when we think that whether our library services are effective enough to providing the kind of services our users are requiring. So I will just give you a brief outline of today's program and what you can expect from today's discussion. Now, see, our libraries are in a crossroad now. One side we are seeing the economic recession, enhanced price of our knowledge resources have gone up, and the other side you are seeing that users' expectations are going high and higher every day. So as a result, what will happen that as this economic recession will stay here for some time, so library might face several type of cost cutting or cost ceiling and that kind of thing. However, library's value is getting always visualized, what kind of services provide and who all are actually appreciating its service, what kind of value it provide to the users for their decision support system, decision making, or any kind of faculty development program or any knowledge enhancement program. Now, keeping this two things in mind, our today's topic is measuring user satisfaction, qualitative and quantitative way. Now, coming to the point that while majority of the library services in this COVID domain, they are trying to automate their services, and most of the advanced libraries they have already automated also. But many libraries still faces several challenges. They are not automated at all. rather they are digitally not included in the domain itself. So because of many reasons, because of the infrastructure problem, because of the maintenance of automation is a problem to them, because digital resource procurement is a problem, or their staffs are not educated enough to handle such situation, to deliver such quality services. So several such problem comes up. Now, for those who are already in the advanced libraries, they can definitely follow some qualitative models or quantitative measurement models like SURFQual or LeapQual, on which we have had a discussion in last seminar itself. However, stringent and expensive cost of these two systems have made most of our libraries shy away from applying those things. Balanced scorecard, we have learned last seminar that TCS has already used that and to the satisfaction. So many libraries are have started using this kind of service quality measurement techniques as well. Now, mostly what is happening that in our system, that elite libraries, or rather the advanced libraries, they are automated their user satisfaction data collection process as well. Now, they collect data from their system driven and like from Koha or any other library automated software they are using, their questionnaires, their publisher data, or maybe Google from Google Analytics, anything. But in absence of any kind of digital tool, what we are suggesting, maybe a user interface of AI-driven user interface. We are not getting anything in a single platform, which actually can be helping us within a reasonable cost measure the library, service quality, etc. Now, over and above to this, COVID has imposed a digital divide. Now, this digital divide actually, given us a clear, clear problem. The kind of problem we are facing, that several, system what we have developed here, they have lost their, scene. Quality they have improved. So this quality they cannot, put before the different users. So as a result, the quality parameters are seriously getting affected, resulting into users' dissatisfaction. Now, if you see that, the question which came, the result which has came up, people have mostly said that, those who have answered, they mostly said 50 to 60% are, satisfied only. So many of such tools, what we are thinking that can be added for this service quality measurement pattern. So during this COVID region are ineffective, because mostly we are using a mixture of both the manual and the digital platform. Now those manual platforms are not usable. Therefore, several data collection tools what libraries have developed, particularly those which are not use advanced technologies. So it's very difficult for them to manage the user satisfaction, and hence positioning of libraries before the governing body, who actually will be measuring the library's effectiveness and value of libraries. So it becomes a very challenging these days. So we believe that our esteemed speaker will definitely highlight what are the measuring tools they are using in their libraries to measure the user satisfaction, and how that has got affected in this COVID domain, and probably will also highlight us that how they have adjusted to collect the user data in this new normal. So with this, what I request that maybe our first speaker, Dr. Anand Bairappa, can start his presentation.
I would like to thank the organizers in general, and particularly my dear friend Shantanu Ganguly for giving me opportunity to really share my thoughts about quality in general and how IISc is ensuring quality, user satisfaction, and return on investment, etc. So my presentation title is Library and Users, and both of them let's look at from quality angle, quantity angle, and some metrics, and eventually can we really come out with some ROI. Generally, if you can get ROI, no other metric is important in my opinion. So let's look at, wherever it's possible, I'll share IISc data. And so we'll see, I mean, you all see IISc experience here. In fact, in my previous organization, I was heading a knowledge center in GE. GE was a Six Sigma company. Each of my team member had a, Six Sigma green belt. I did my, Six Sigma black belt to set up the knowledge center and also IP services. Every service which we used to run in GE was a Six Sigma compliant. And I thought of, I didn't know that it's, since I left that organization, I did not want to focus on that. Maybe next time. But right now, we'll stick to the IISc examples. Now, my presentation plan is to set the context right. Let's look at what is library core and how it looks like and what is stagnant, what is changing. Then quickly, we'll look at the content, its quality, quantity, and how we can really derive some ROI on the content and for which you are spending a lot. Then services. So I felt we need to be innovative. Services should have a responsiveness, and most important, it should be relevant. There is no point in running services which are irrelevant and not required to the faculty and users. And then users, it's important to understand their needs, their expectations, and then see how we can really satisfy them. I also have some, we're planning a big transformation project for IISc library to transform it from print-based library to knowledge center. We have worked on that. We have budgeted for that, and we set some concept pictures. And then I end with a user satisfaction scorecard of IISc. So that's briefly what I had. Now, if you look at library holistically, in my opinion, it will have only three components. You have a collection in terms of books, journals, databases, and all. And you will have a users. It could be faculty, students, or researchers, whatever you have. And services. So by using that collection, staff will, provide this services to users. Now, this is the triangle of library, and it remains to be same irrespective of the timelines. They're all interlinked. And so what has changed is, so if you look at users today, we are dealing with new generation. For example, when I got graduated or qualified, graduated in library science, I was trained to handle, users who had no exposure to the computers. But today's generation is, native digital users, born digital kind of people. The most important thing we see in the new generation is they always have a gadget, and the gadget is always connected to the content. So the point here, what I'm telling is all users, say 15, 20 years back, when they wanted to know new thing, they had only two options. One is sit in the class and listen to the teacher, or go to the library and search and learn. But today, both of them have become insignificant for them because of the content, because of the new generation, because of the gadgets we have. They go and find out whatever they want on the internet. But whether it's a quality content or not, that's a different. But the one sure thing is, we were both teachers and libraries used to be very critical for a learner. Today, we moved from being critical to nice to have. Whether you like it or not, that is a fact for younger generation today. And if you look at collection, now it's not just about books and things what we have. It's about platform environment now. Ownership has become a myth. What I mean by that is, in the print world, when we had books and print resources, we had ownership on all of them. Today, you're only licensing the content. You don't have a ownership. Or to explain it further, when you had a print books, you can read, you can, give it to somebody. Once you don't want it, you can also sell it. in the used bookshop. That was the kind of a right you had. But today, you don't own digital content. If you read carefully license agreements, we only have some rights to exercise that, and also time-bound kind of a thing. That's a big thing. And whether publishers really give DRM-free content, and DRM is not there, but every publisher has content is DRMized. And so that's, you have to deal with that. And then compliance. The most important thing is in the digital content world, you will be tracked, you will be noticed, and it's easy, very, very easy for anybody to really trace the compliance related aspects. So that's a big responsibility. We need to really understand that, deal with those things. If we don't understand these things, if we don't deal right things, we may put our organizations into compliance risk. So that's a big responsibility. And so coming to the services, so our users today, if you look at the new age companies like Amazon, Ola, Ubers, and all of that, they have really taught end users what is service, what is value addition, what is variety, and all kind of a thing. So say, they have influenced current generation users to expect similar things from libraries. So we need to really remember that when we are serving our user community, they expect speed, they expect value addition, and they expect variety. And my last point here I have put is, knowingly or unknowingly, irrespective of the age group, all of us have developed a digital habit and expecting value-added services, and we need more than what we are really asking for. So this is the impact of new generation companies and internet has made on the user base. Now, if we get 2 minutes, 3 minutes, we immediately open up our smartphones. We figure out what we need, what we don't need, and all. That's what I meant digital habit. So it's important to really understand whatever service you plan, whatever product you develop. If you don't really get the digital habit of user right, I think we will be failing in serving the user base. So that's the kind of a learning we need to take from the new age companies. So this is how, these are the thoughts to reposition the library and to redesign the services to meet the new generation kind of users. Now, so if you look at content, so there is a big shift, and at least research libraries in India have really witnessed a big shift. If you come to IISc, as I said, our annual budget is about 20 crores just for the content. And I'm not exaggerating, 99% of our budget is being spent on getting digital content. And last year, we spent only about 40 to 45 lakhs out of 20 crores to buy books. Otherwise, print books. Otherwise, everything else was spent on digital content, all journals, databases, and all. In fact, we were getting some 10 or 15 journals from Indian Academy of Sciences in the print format, and they are also parallelly extending access to that content in the digital format. We requested them to stop sending journals because it gives, continuous, additional work. The moment you get print journals, you keep track of them. At the end of the year, at the end of the volume, you bind it, and then you put it in the stock. All of that eventually people don't use, particularly when you have a digital content online and accessible. So we moved completely from print-based library to digital library. That's a big thing. The point here I'm telling is, as I said, most of the LIS professionals were trained to handle, procure, process the print resources. Digital content is a very different ballgame. You need to understand DRM, you need to understand the licensing terms, you need to understand the access, all of that. I think that's a big change. We need to really look at that. As I said, since we have a digital content now, quality can be addressed. What I mean by quality is, when I subscribe to my journals, I look at two parameters. Am I having for every subject, every department, top 25 percentile of the journals? We have them. And at the same time, are we having all the journals what our faculty is publishing? So we have them. So we need to really address quality. And quantity is not an issue in terms of content, because fortunately and unfortunately, publishers want to really move all of their content, irrespective of you buying few journals or all journals, because they need to push. So that has resulted in having about 10,000 plus journals with us. And so quantity is addressed. ROI, as I said, we look at, usage at every quadrant. And as I said, our usage is very good. And I have a separate slide. I'll show you on that. So next is focus on in-house content. Another big gap I see in the LIS in India is most of the libraries and librarians, they talk too much about, external content in terms of journals, databases and all. There is not enough, attention and work on preserving the internal content. So what we have done in IISc is pioneer. We have two internal databases. One is ePrints, where you see all the IISc published articles, about 50,000 plus we have. We also run DSpace database for hosting all our theses and dissertations. And so that way we treat our content, internal content, as important as the external content. Then, as I said, since we have a digital only content, most of it, we keep track of it. We have excellent usage, very clear ROI. And my point is, next transformation is, we have a lot of digital content and we know there is a usage. Most of the usage is coming from faculty and research scholars. But I see that the new students who are coming, they are not really, accessing much of the content. I think, in the digital world, we may have a book or a journal in the plain text format. I think there's a need for libraries and institutions to think about understanding the digital habit of the younger generation and create a reading experience centers. What I mean to say that is, having just an ebook or e-journal or a database which is searchable is not going to attract younger generation. I think what we're thinking is do value addition. When you buy a textbooks, what we're thinking is add audio to that and supplement with some YouTube, content, both from, YouTube and all other, open resource based thing. And then create some experience center like Xbox kind of a environment. So that's how we can really attract new users and convert their free time into reading time kind of a thing. I think it's important to really look at converting libraries into experience centers. Otherwise, it will be very difficult to really attract the youngsters to libraries kind of thing. That's my thought. And we're planning that in the transformation plan. Now, I don't think you can read this content, but the idea behind this screen is, as I said, our digital content usage is being monitored, and we look at meticulously. And I took only top 15, subscriptions, and there is a usage about 6 to 7 times to the cost we pay. And so, by any parameter you look at, there is a return on investment. It is, when I say return on investment, it is beyond user satisfaction. It is beyond value add. There is a clear-cut message that the money you are spending is worth it. At the same time, we also track the citations and all kind of a thing. So I don't know how, my guess is all bigger libraries, at least IITs, NITs and all, they measure. I don't know how their usage is, but at IISc, the usage is about 6 to 7 times to the cost we pay. And every year in the publisher seminars, conferences, IISc gets plaques, say that you are the highest user of the content and all kind of a thing. So the institute is publishing about 3,000 papers every year. And obviously, we read a lot and we use a lot of content. So usage is not an issue. ROI is not a problem at IISc. So that's the thing. Now, I will, most of the times, what happens is, I would like to say most of the times what happens is, in the digital world, when people are, people start using digital content, they have forgotten the basics of developing complete content base for research and development. In my opinion, every library, if you are research focused, you should really address these 4 layers. First layer, in my opinion, if you are really focused on research, you should have access to the abstracting indexing databases. Your research should begin at abstracting indexing database, irrespective of the subject, social science, humanities, or science and technology. For example, in IISc, since we are engaged in science and engineering research, we have InSpec, Compendex, we have Scopus, Web of Science, and all these databases, SciFinder and all of them. So that's where we expect researcher to really begin research. Once you do that phase, second layer, we need to really have some top journals, access to top journals. For example, you don't need to really have all journals of, all publishers. And even if you want to procure, you are not able to really simply, unaffordable for any university. So that's where you can exercise your subjects, your research areas, and take faculty. And it's important that you will not miss out on top 25% journals in every subject. So that's the thing. And the third layer, in my opinion, so the first layer will address abstract indexing, second layer will address the core journals and ebooks. Here, third layer, though I'm in science and technology focused research organization, we may need some non-core content, some technical standards, some magazines related in that field and all. So it's important to have that, gap also filled by going by some aggregators like EBSCO, ProQuest. These are the people, who gives a lot of magazines. Of course, they are not as qualitative as the primary resources, but they really fill the gap in terms of getting the non-core content. And the most important thing libraries should do is, once you have these three layers and internal content, you need to really, integrate all of them. This is where you need to run search, discovery, link resolvers, and all of that. So if you have this 4-layer model, and if you really integrate well, and if you can give a good discovery on top of it, I don't think your library will go anywhere except searching in your library. What happens in the current scenario in India is, you end up having some 100, 200 journals, you end up having some 2,000, 3,000 ebooks, and you tell every researchers to go and search in the library. They miss the completeness. I think it's important as a librarian, as an institution, you put the quality information research base according to your research needs. So that's the value addition library can really bring in. So we need to do that. So that's the base we had in my previous organization, and we followed same thing here. So that way, I confidently tell that you don't need to go anywhere. You don't need to depend on Google. Come to library, you get everything what you wanted. It's very well thought and tailored for our needs. Now, services. When it comes to services, I think, gone are the days that you run photocopy services, book circulation, reference service, and all of that. I don't think people really get admiration for all those things. What we need is, those are the services which were tailored based on the print resources libraries had. Now we have transformed. Your services should be digital content centric, and they should be responsive, and they should be innovative by using digital content. And most important thing is, there is no point in starting and running a service which is not asked by or not relevant to the organization. So here, what I would like to say is, I would like to show some of the IISc things. Some of them are relevant, some of them are not relevant probably. I joined IISc about 3 years back, and we were cleaning the whole IISc assets and all. I found a lot of monitors and keyboards. So we were throwing them, but I thought we can really buy a Raspberry Pi and make use of old monitors and keyboards. So many of you know that Raspberry Pi is the cheapest computer, and you pay $2,500 on Amazon. You get a mini computer. All you need a monitor and keyboard to that. And since us is a research library, we don't need bigger, higher RAM and all kind of a thing. We applied Raspberry Pi, and we run our OPAC machines, online catalog machines, on Raspberry Pi. So for a smaller libraries, when you have a budget crunch, you can be innovative, and you can really start things like that. And whoever comes to library, they see that what is this and how do we implement kind of a thing. And then simplified exit process. So earlier people used to come to library and ask what is due, what is not due kind of a thing. We worked on that and we simplified, and there is a digital form which is simpler. And academics are very slow in adapting the technology, but not like corporates and that. Now it's a digital simplified process. They don't need to really come, the users to library to get the exit sign. So that's been simplified. And then we spend a lot of time on academic competitive analysis. So we are into business of looking at and evaluating every faculty of IISc by publications, by citations, and also Even if you have higher publications, higher citations, each faculty is being benchmarked with the top 10 universities by department, by institute, and we share that with them. So particularly for younger faculty who are in the assistant, associate faculty stage, they'll get a clear-cut roadmap where they are, who are their role models, and how can they go forward, kind of a thing. So this is a continuous process. It takes a lot of time for us, and we use tools like Compendex, tools like Scopus, Web of Science, SciVal, and Insights for this. So we have no dearth of tools. When it comes to library, I'm happy to say that budget is not a constraint to us. There is no second university in India who have got access to all these tools: Scopus, Web of Science, Insights, and SciVal. We have all four of them, and we use them. We use them effectively, not for library, not for end user, also to assist the leadership of IISc to really scale up and match with the global best, kind of thing. So that's a lot of work for us. Then seamless access. So far, IISc had IP-based access to all the resources, and COVID has really pushed all of us to look at alternatives and more efficient services. So that's when we looked at single sign-on enabled access to all our content. So we have put in Shibboleth-based single sign-on system for all of IISc publications. So they can log in from anywhere, access anything and everything. So that has been appreciated by all users. So, I mean, the best way to me look at the user satisfaction is without you asking the feedback, without you running the survey. If somebody can write back to you, that's the best example for your user satisfaction. So anytime when you do new initiatives, if you can get mails, people appreciating you, that's the best feedback. So that's what I think. So we have done that. Data management initiative. IISc is the first university in India to formally start a unit called Office of Data, and that's being headed and driven by library now. So we got 2 data managers hired for that, and initially we focusing on managing the internal data for rankings and all. Eventually we get into management of research data. So that's the bigger thing we are doing. So these are all very responsive, innovative, and digital content driven kind of services. And then ranking support services. Librarian is the nodal officer for a couple of rankings, and we have a institution-wide rankings and performance committee, and librarian is the coordinator, and a dean is the chairman for that. So there's a lot of work we're working. So we're getting into working with higher leadership, wherein the reach of the library and the services of the library are really effectively utilized by everybody across the institute. Then we also developed and institutionalized data security policy. In academics, what I've seen, many universities, they just don't give enough attention to the content or information they're getting generated in the organization. They just simply give away to publishers without really knowing. All they need is once they do something good, if they can get published in some very, highly rated journal, they don't even think twice. Now, what we proposed is, it's okay to really go and publish, but I think it's important to really have a data classification scheme for the institute. So we worked on that, and we rolled out a data classification scheme. Every piece of information getting generated from the institute will be classified based on the sensitivity of the content inside that. So that's been rolled out from library, and so that's the other thing. So as I said, here services, it's very important for libraries to really transition from print-based library services to new age, digital, innovative, responsive services, and they will really help us to reposition and undoubtedly give a user satisfaction, not user satisfaction, user delight. So you get it. People appreciate that, and they don't need to really tell you what to do, and they know that you are really planning ahead for them and what is required for them to excel in their professions. So at the same time, it's very important to really have all services on time, very quick, and provide the satisfied services kind of thing. So that's about services. So I talked about Raspberry Pi in my previous slide. This is the Raspberry Pi most of you might have seen already. It is a size of a bigger matchbox. We bought from Amazon by paying rupees 2580, and it comes with all USB ports, network cable connection, storage space, and all of that. It also comes with Ubuntu software, and you can really run it as a low cost computer. Basically, it was designed for African countries where they had a difficulty getting high-end computers. And so we have implemented this in our library. Our OPAC machine runs on the thing. You can also see that video. So yeah, that box, that is the Raspberry Pi, and that is the old monitor we have here. So basically, the idea is to showcase that you don't need to run high-end systems to do some simple services in libraries. So for a government organizations, for people who have a budget crunch and all, they can be innovative and they can use these kind of things. So that was the idea. We did that. Now, so we'll move to the next one. Users. So as I said, users are the ones who should really drive, the services, content, and all of that. When it comes to users, talking about satisfaction and all, sometimes I believe that Apple model is the fantastic model. Apple never asks users what you need. So for example, if Apple had asked users that when all other cell phones were costing say 10,000 rupees, Apple comes and asks you saying that I'm going to come out with a cell phone which is 40,000 rupees, will you buy? Absolutely everybody will say no. So sometimes you don't need to really ask users what they need. If you are confident that your idea is good and you can really scale them up, multiple levels, so you can really go ahead and plan and do that kind of a thing. I think libraries should really do that. They should get rid of, habit of surveying and asking users and then tailoring and all of that's an old school thought way of doing businesses and products. I think Apple model is the best one. If you have an out of the box idea and if you can really execute well and play Apple card. So that's how I think in today's generation. So you can really then position yourself much ahead of the competition. So if we really plan something exactly according to user, you may be lagging behind in the beginning itself. So that's my thought on that. Now, so user needs, for example, in the digital content, as I said, needs and expectations. Everybody wanted to have a digital content. So we moved about 98 to 99% of our content is in the digital format. And the most important thing, interoperability we have made. So we have also enabled single sign-on. People can access that. Now, my staff and me have become insignificant for the staff, for the faculty and researchers in terms of accessing content. So there was a saying that the best way to figure out whether your service and your applications are your quality services reach users or not, if you can make your service and if you can make your effort invisible, then that is the impact of your service. So that's how it is. Now we get very little queries about accessing content and all. Now they are on their own and people know what they need. At the end of the day, as I said, we go ahead and use the statistics and we know who is using what, who is not using. For a less used resources, we plan WebEx based trainings and we host those training materials on the net. So we make sure that whenever awareness or usage dips, we monitor at the back end and we really do something catalytic from the library field, from library side by organizing WebEx based trainings and all kind of thing. So in the online world, it's a very different this thing. You need to really think differently, look at what your users need. You don't need to be the front-end librarian. You need to be a strategic librarian sitting behind and monitoring everything. Make sure that your content is used, it is useful, it is applied. At organization level, make sure that you are getting ROI on that. So that's very important. So in my opinion, our library, you have to be always user-centric. You have to have a rich content and you need to really come out with the responsive services. That's important. Now, I also say, for example, when we wanted to have a transformation of you saw my IIC library, it's 100-year-old. And, though functionally designed very well, it's no way matched to the new age organizations like NITs, ISERs, and all of that. So we have decided to transform the library into knowledge center. So we surveyed the walk-in users, asking their expectations, what they need, and kind of a thing. So this is the outcome of the user survey. So all they expressed that they would like to have high-speed Wi-Fi internet access. See, this is like a food. Ask anybody, any student, even if you have given high-end internet connectivity, they still need more. So I don't take that until very seriously, but we still do that. Then close exclusive reading rooms, discussion rooms, which is very common now in the new age libraries. You go and see that. We don't have them in IISc yet. I think we need to do that in the transformation thing. And contemporary seating and ambience with AC reading rooms, that came out in survey. Coffee shop in lawns, portico, garden area, that came out. iPads, Kindles, and book readers, we have already implemented this. So we bought some of them and we are issuing the users to do all of that. IISc has 100 years of history. We have done a lot of research in science and engineering. We have produced a lot of excellent science and engineering leaders. So we thought of having Hall of Fame so that it will be showcasing the accomplishments at the same time, the inspiring the students about what the institute has accomplished so far. Then Makerspace, this is the other feedback we came, and then YouTube Corner is the other one. Now video has become an important content, and so whether you give opportunity or not, end of the day, somebody somewhere will create a YouTube. The videos and they do that. So why don't you really offer one corner as a YouTube, media center kind of a thing, so that people can come and create videos and that. We are also having to have a mini conference hall in the library. So this is the user needs or their expectations. So how are we responding to the needs and expectations? We quickly got into boardroom. We discussed about that. We budgeted about 17 to 18 crores based on the course. The budget is in place now. Plan is in place. And we are going to execute that hopefully starting from this year, maybe by end of next year. The new knowledge center should be a reality for IISc. The idea behind this is IISc is a top-class university. We get, the brightest students joining IISc. We thought they deserve very contemporary, state-of-the-art, infrastructure and library services to them. And that is the thought process behind designing the new knowledge center. Now, these are some concepts we already created. And so this is, if everything goes fine, we would like to call that as a knowledge center, not just replacing the name library into knowledge center. If you look at my services slide, we do a lot of non-traditional services, which are really knowledge related. So we would like to transform library in a true sense to the knowledge center. This is another view, what we are planning to do. And this is the Hall of Fame and another concept picture we got designed. So the old reading room is being redesigned this way, flexible seats and so privacy to users and all of that. This is the 24/7 reading area. So we are planning, there will be a security and there will be furniture and there will be a coffee shop here. So students can come and hang out here. So there will be a security, there will be content and all of that. So this is the need from undergraduate students that they wanted to have a secure place in library 24/7. We are addressing this way. This is the conference hall. We are asking for 100 capacity and it can be divided into 3 meeting rooms in case if it's not being used for the conference. So this is the kind of thing. So that's basically how you really involve your stakeholders, your users, your leadership and all of them, and so come out with something which is really going to be very contemporary and comparable to the best in the world. So we are appointing an architect who is ADA, who is very specialized in designing the educational institutions. One thing they told them is when you design my old library, when you transform it, so it has to be comparable to the top 5 in the world. So that's the only sentence I have made them. I think they have really worked hard and they have given that. And as I said, though it's a concept now, we have discussed, we have budgeted, and everything is ready and all approved, and we're going to start very soon. Hopefully, in next 2 years, we should be able to have a library which is comparable to the best in the world with revised, impactful digital services that way. And so that's broadly about what we are doing, how we are trying to really position, how we are trying to meet our user needs, expectations, at the same time measure everything what you are doing, see how much you are spending, is there ROI and that. So we're running library like a business organization. End of the day, it's not just serving, it's not giving content. End of the day, you should see whether what you are spending is really worth or not. So that's what we're looking at, and we are very happy as of now with that. Now, coming back to the rating of the library, I didn't survey anybody, but I thought of really looking at a Google Analytics. And so this is being given by public and all kind of a thing. When you click on, when you go to Google and type IISc library, you get
Dr. Bhairappa, can you close it in next 2 minutes?
Absolutely, sir. This is my last slide, actually. I'm on time.
Thank you.
Okay, so this is the thing. 2 years back, it was about 4.5 or 4.6. I think the new team we got in there, I am new and I hired one assistant librarian, 2 assistant librarians. 5-member team is new there. We're trying to do a lot of things, and I see the result. And out of 5, it's 4.8. There are very nice comments. There are 116 reviews. So this is the rating as of now. So that's broadly what I had. So I think I'm on time. Now, as I said, I was in corporates for a long time. Now we don't really apply balanced scorecard or Six Sigma here. And as I said, we were driving everything in a Six Sigma way in my previous organization. But academics is very different. I think balanced scorecard will be much suited for academic institutions to really drive both services and also the efficiency of the staff. So I think we can apply. I mean, Six Sigma also can be applied. So as of now, so this is the story of IISc. Thank you for the opportunity.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this second webinar of the series. I won't take much time. I would just like to give you a little idea what is MAP Systems and why we are organizing this seminar or this webinar. You see, MAP Systems is a futuristic technology company which would love to look at the future with a blend of creativity with emerging technology. So the creativity and the technology blend is the essence of MAP Systems. Next slide, please. I would like to take you a small journey of MAP Systems. Umapati, next slide, please. MAP Systems started in 1993 by Mr. Prasad Rao. He was the sole employee. Within 7 years, it expanded in the prepress services into international and Indian market. And within the next 10 years, MAP System had started the digital conversion service. In 2014, MAP System took a very bold step and started creative service, inclusive graphic designing. And since then, every year, it is keep on adding something in its portfolio. In 2015, we started data archiving and photo editing, photo enhancing. 2016, we anticipate a big demand could come about with 3D design, and we started doing 3D design. We also started giving e-learning solutions. 2017, we initiated augmented reality and virtual reality. 2018, we started working in artificial intelligence and started building up our own product based on artificial intelligence and augmented reality. So augmented tools or apps based on machine learning or artificial intelligence is becoming popular into the field, in all the field. And I'm sure it is bound to come in libraries as well. So we are keeping ourselves ready for that. This year, we had 2 plans, knowledge management with artificial intelligence and library management powered by artificial intelligence. Due to COVID, we have to postpone one. So we postponed it. The library management powered by artificial intelligence, we are going to address it next year. But this year we are coming up with knowledge management with artificial intelligence. Mopati, next slide, please. Now I would like to show you a couple of our products which we do. What sort of technology solution we give? We develop apps. We develop mobile apps, augmented reality based apps. Of course, the artificial intelligence is the bottom line of all these apps. Virtual reality apps and web-based apps. In digital conversion, we do ebook conversion, XML, Flash to HTML, interactive, and read aloud ebooks. And in prepress service, we do typesetting, copy editing, book design, book document scanning. Most importantly, document scanning, OCR, and make all your content available in digital form. And we also provide the platform to use them for the end user, which could be very, very useful for the publishers. Next slide, please. In the next slide, I would like to show you some of our product which we are planning. It is not yet launched. We are planning cognitive library suite, where we are talking about the analytics and the measurement of service quality. We're trying or we're planning to address that. Acquisition, circulation, administration, cloud computing, and smartified iReader. With that, we are also planning a ebook distribution platform, which could be the end-to-end solution from a life cycle of a book, be it a ebook, be it a physical book, and online learning platform, which includes the virtual teaching and virtual classes, which is very, very apt for on this date scenario. Because next slide, we do not know how long we will take to overcome with the COVID. So this online and distancing is going to stay, and we need to equip us for that. As we mentioned, in 2014, we started the creative services. In creative solutions, we do print media graphics, which include the banner, poster, magazine design, etc. We do the image editing and restoration. We do huge job here. We do quite a number of renowned photographers, wedding photographers, and architects to enhance their images. We do 3D design services, designing for 3D modeling. We make the file ready for 3D printing. We do not do 3D printing, but we make the file ready for 3D printing. And we also do the web media graphics. So that means the content management system, e-commerce, PowerPoint design, 2D animation, motion graphics, etc. Next slide, please. Here are some of our esteemed customers. So you could see that we work with almost all the big publishing houses, be it Pearson, Wiley, Penguin Random House, Watercluber, Cambridge, Oxford University Press. We work with most of them. In addition, we also work with Indian Air Force for digital content development and animation. We work with in the textbook area with Maharashtra government, and we are working in the museum project for TTD or Tirumala Devasthanam. It's in Tirupati. Our creative team also work for some major brand like Flipkart, Wayfair, Target, etc. So next slide, please. In summary, what is the map age? Why map system? Because with the well-defined process, on-time delivery, state-of-art infrastructure, ability to ramp up production on a short notice, and dedicated project supervision, the map systems are positioned to deliver world-class support and help you to enhance your ROI. That is very important. We focus to enhance your ROI. We try to understand your problem and come out with a solution for that. We're extremely delighted to announce our newest and futuristic initiative powered by artificial intelligence, which has the power to transform library management system in times to come. You can find more details in our website. As the time is short, I will stop here and over to Dr. P.K. Bhattacharya.
So meanwhile, let me thank the organizers of this webinar, especially Dr. Shantanu Ganguly, who has given me the task to share my views and experience on this topic. And special thanks to the map system, Mr. Prashant Rao and Mr. Swassis Ganguly. And also thanks to the society director, Dr. Siddiqui, and other office bearer, Dr. Anand, for giving me an opportunity to share my views and experience on this important webinar series. And it is really tough to talk and discuss when we already have a very dynamic speaker and the premier institution of this country. And because almost all libraries are struggling, with their different issues, especially that lack of availability of budget. But when Dr. Bhairappa has already said, there is a huge budget, and even though there is no limit of the budget, and I think the worldwide resources are curated by the ISC Bangalore, and it is really tough and difficult to compare and talk when that we have seen that ISC Bangalore library and the best practices certainly, but each and institution and the majority of institution in this country is not good enough blessed like an ISC Bangalore, Dr. Bhairappa, who's leading that ISC Bangalore library. So, dear friends, again, I must say that Dr. Ganguly has given me this talk. This task is quite tough. When you're going to read the title of this presentation, it seems very easy. Measuring user satisfaction using qualitative and quantitative research methods, and thereafter evaluation of the library services. But once you're going to understand and applying this, all that aspect and matrix, this is quite complex. So let me talk about this topic. There was a saying by Ganguly, the content, context and technology. He used to say CCT, and I used to say CC, connect, content, and collaborate. So I'll be discussing how Vanity universities, trying to get satisfy of their users, and what are the best practices, how globally things are moving towards satisfaction. So before that, let us understand about. So let us discuss first and foremost, because I'm not going to present my case study, what we are doing and how we are doing, but let us say in general as a librarian and other institutions, why they should think about and why this topic is important and why everyone think about the measuring the user satisfaction. Discussing why people should start, measuring that user satisfaction and other evaluation of the resources and the services or the infrastructures, and then after we'll try to understand the measurement tools and techniques that are available, and we'll be discussing how we are doing at Vanity University. So let us discuss. Now, this is first and foremost, why we should why should we measure user satisfaction? This is one of the important concern, and what Dr. Bhairappa has already said. Each and every libraries, they have their own goal, expected goal, and their role to play. And when we're talking about the academic institution library, their main and major concern is to support their academic and research fraternity to meet their expectation at the maximum level. And libraries, again, they have to play a role to meet and support the vision and mission of the university. And when we are trying to understand the user expectation and behavior, is a bit complex task, because because it's not only involved the kind of availability and accessibility of resources, but there are many other things are involved. So that why we have to do all this, satisfaction measurement and all, because sometimes need to streamline the process and policy of our working. What we are doing, how we are doing. It is not important what we are offering and what we are doing and how we are doing. It is important to that what is expected from you, what your end user is expecting from the library. This is important, and whether we are able to meet that expectation or not. Next is that see the effective utilization of the available resources, space and facilities. This is one of the important, and thanks to this technology, which is helping the library, nowadays to save there's a lot of space, and librarians are able to redesign the space so that the user can explore for in better way. And then finally, we have to calculate the sentiment analysis and the cost analysis, what Dr. Barappa said about the return on investment. So these are some of the important, reasons we should think, and we should plan that the measurement of the user satisfaction. Let us understand the user satisfaction by looking at this quote by Mahatma Gandhi ji. He said, the customer, what I'm talking about, user, library user, that is, we also consider the customer. The other, service industries, they're treating their customer similar way. The library is also using, dealing and behaving with the library user as a customer. So Mahatma Gandhi said that the customer is the most important visitor on our premises. He is not independent. He is not dependent on us. We are dependent on him. He is not interruption in our work, but he's a purpose of it. And he is not an outsider in our business. He's a part of it. We are not doing him a favor by serving, but he's doing us a favor by visiting us and giving us an opportunity to work for them. So this is an importance of a customer, and if you look at the importance of the customer and the users, and the whole scenario, it can be concluded by satisfaction in terms of the satisfaction of the customer. Look at that, these are the definition. When talking about satisfaction, come out the word from satis, that is enough, and factory, that means to do or to make something. And if you look at that, another definition that say that satisfaction was ultimately the state of experience inside the user head, and that therefore it was in a response that may be both intellectually and emotionally. That means when you're talking about user satisfaction, it's not importantly what is getting intellectually from the library, but they should be happy with the library, services, library staff behaviors, and kind of environment. Then you look at the another, next line. User satisfaction can be defined the users as a positive feeling. A users after successful fulfillment his or her information need in a right time through right sources. So look at a green line. The service quality involves a long-term journal examination, customer expectation. But whereas the satisfaction, when you're talking about satisfaction, it is required in a personal, emotional reactions. Take an example: if some user is approaching to the library, say reference desk or that customer desk, and this is an important how that when customer is approaching to the library staff, how we are behaving, how we are dealing with that, how we are welcoming them, and when they're asking something, how we are providing them. In a Indian scenario, if you look at that reference services, what we are dealing and how we are treating the customer. And you go in any of public university library and you ask any of any books, then they will say that please check at the OPAC, and you can see that location of books is available on the stack, and the user is supposed to go and check that one. But whenever you are just giving a welcome, another part, when you are welcoming user and having supporting and visiting with them to the stack and showing that this book is available for you, that they'll get some different kind of experience and expectation that in that case. Therefore, this is important to understand. And what Dr. Barappa said, the understanding of user satisfaction means one side is the satisfaction of the user, another part is a return on investment. And librarian, there is a tough job to satisfy the user customer. And another reason is to have to just talk about the return on investment. And especially in private universities, if you look at whatever we are asking and whatever we are spending on any of resources, any of services, or any of any kind of infrastructure, we have always have to justify what we are going to do, and what is the return on investment, how that particular thing and the resources or the services will make an impact on the institution. So when we are going to calculate the impact, the return on investment, it's a different process, but certainly both things cannot go parallelly. It is very difficult to make it parallelly. One side is satisfied user, because library is always having a limited budget, and the wants are other unlimited. If you look at principle of how the price is determined of any product, if you look at the microeconomics, when that supplies and demand are crossing each other, the product prices defined, and then similar way, when talking about the user satisfaction, when the user is getting satisfaction, because user has an number of demand, and it is really difficult. And I don't think even the global, not in India, even though globally, are the users able to get 100% satisfaction from the library. But because no library can accommodate and organize the universe of knowledge at a place, so therefore we just have to make our best effort how we can provide our best of best services to the user, kind of best and best facilities we can create for them, and kind of environment we can give them. And most important is the behavior and the user experience, because in the service industries, that is important whether you are able to provide a service to your customer or not, but you have to represent yourself in a good manner, so they can take a good feel from you. So this is an important. And when you're talking about the return on investment, as Dr. Barappa said, library budget, when we used to in a university system, we used to allocate library budget based on the user size or in the department or school, and those particular budget we used to spend on different resources and creating different services, different infrastructures, staffs, and other expenses. And what we are getting out of that, possible outcome of that, we are getting good publication from the fraternity. We are having a good citation impact, what Dr. Barappa has also said. And again, the student is getting a better placement, student is getting a performing in a better way. We are having good results. We are having a very good accreditation and the ranking of among institutions. All these are things reflecting on the return on investment. Now talk about this is another framework which is talking about measuring the user satisfaction. One is an expectation, another is a perceived performance. When somebody is expecting something from the library, and how he or she is getting perceived performance, and in case that both things are meeting and confirming themselves, that means they are satisfied. And when your user is satisfied, they will definitely come again and again to the library to make best use of that. And this is the scenario, and this is the framework where we can see that how behaving, and before coming to the library, and after coming after going from the library, what kind of picture and image he or she is taking in their mind. So this is important. Sometimes this is providing a resource is important, but behavior is more important. So therefore we have to keep in mind while we are measuring the user satisfaction. And there is a number of tools and trends, technology, and some frameworks or models are available for measuring user satisfaction in our libraries. And say the number of service industries, they already has using this kind of models and framework for measuring their customer satisfaction. First and foremost, though we are talking today the qualitative and quantitative evaluation method, this is one of the most and widely used method for measuring the user satisfaction. And the service industry, especially, they have used that CirQuil methods. This is tool which helping the service industry to measure their customer satisfaction and service quality. And there is a saying that once we have a good quality of services, good quality of resources, that means we have a high range of user satisfaction. But sometimes there is both are quite different, because as in librarian, what I feel and realized, that sometimes we are more focusing, when talking about standard and quality and the process and parameters, and that sometimes affect on the user satisfaction. Say, take an example. One student is approaching me and our faculty asking me to procure a particular book. But if you look at the procurement process in our university, sometimes it's quite long and lengthy. And meanwhile, we procuring the books, for the particular faculty. That purpose of that, procurement of that book is defeated. And so that's why we have to keep in mind, and we have to keep, evaluate our library services, so that is there any gap, then we should fill that gap, and we should make our system more smooth. And research library association USA, they have developed a model based on the CERQUEL, that is known as LibQuel, which is widely used in Western universities, Europe and US and UK. And this is again another online tool where we can, along with that, certain number of questions, and we can evaluate our library services or the user satisfaction concern. And there is some more model is there. So when talking about qualitative and quantity, is hardly to explain that. When talking about quantity, that means we are dealing with some numerical data, and based on that, we are collecting different kind of surveys through the questionnaires, and there's some close-ended questionnaires. We are doing some experiments, some observations in numbers. So all these things, when we are going to represent and analyze their data and graphical and numerical values, that means we are having an quantitative methods. And when we are talking about the qualitative method, that means whatever data we are able to collect, that we are in getting the data in words and a text form, and then we are going to manage and analyze the data. Again, we have to conduct a kind of interviews, open-ended interviews, and we can have a discussion with some focus group and observations, or that we can conduct some literature or the case studies. So these are the method where we can apply, and there is a detailed information is there, and kind of questions we have to design it according to our environment and our organization, and kind of expectation we are going to measure. Though and majority of organization, they are using the mixed method, where is that some portion of the quantitative and the qualitative method we are using to know your user satisfaction. And I found this is one of the case study published by TERI Library, and chairperson Bhattacharya and Shantanu Ganguly, they published this paper. And I gone through this paper, and not only this paper, but many of case studies, and how these people are applying the different techniques for evaluating their user satisfaction and the resource quality measurement. And if you look at that, the finding, they had used in a different kind of analysis, and they found that 85% of books and 63.5% of journal are they found very useful, and the collection which are not useful for them, they has given a report for the weeding out. So that TERI is in a very located in a very prime location, therefore that space is in one of the major concern. And they found in case they are able to weed out this material from the library, they'll have they can get a good place, and the place can be utilized for other purpose. So in a similar way, we can have some more kind of evaluation. The CERQUEL model, when they designed, there is some 10. They originally 10. There is some 10 dimension for measuring the quality of any of services. And similar way, if you look at the CERQUEL gap model, if you see that here, there's a 5 gap model is that there is a 5 stages there. When you're talking about customer service expectation and customer perception, that means there is a gap. That gap means there is some need to reorganize the library services and activity and performance. Then first gap is that customer service expectations. What is the expectation, and what organization is understanding the expectation? This is nothing but market information gap. And the second gap is that one of organizations understanding the expectation and organization service standards. There is a gap between them. And the gap is that service performance gap. That means what organization service standard is there, and how the organization service performance is, delivering their performance, the services. This is gap. And the next gap is that information, this communication gap, internal communication gap, because the organization service perform and how organization communicate with your customer. This is another gap. So fifth gap is that service quality gap. In that, C and C and all these five stages, we have to keep in mind whether that what kind of expectation from the user, how we are going to meet those expectations. So this is LibQuel tool, and this is service CirQuel, and this is the major focus on that access to information and personal control, and library is a place. These are the three dimensions where they're having a set of questions and for measuring the quality of services. So let me focus more on that, how doing in the Bennett University, and I'm completely inspired with the quote by given Steve Jobs, this is from Apple, and what Dr. Bairappa has already said about the Apple example, but again, I would like to quote this given by the Steve, and quote is very important, what is deep meaning of that. If you look at the quote, he said that get closer than ever to your customer. Get closer ever to your customer, so close. In fact, that you tell them what they need well before they realize it themselves. That means before your users realizing what is their requirement, we librarians should involve with the user in such a way so that we can understand. In case we know the users, in case we know the requirement, and we know them well, so that we can serve them what exactly they are looking for and what is their expected, so that in case there is no gap of the understanding and the delivery, that means your user is completely satisfied. Now I'm going to tell you how we are trying to understand our user in my university at Bennett, and that similar having some different practice, and what we are trying to, we already is on the path for and applying the qualitative research method to know our users. And first is the focus group discussions. Last year we started this new practices and we organized one event. That event is not is unique, and I think so. This is the first time this kind of event has been organized in our librarian fraternity. And the theme of this event is connect, content, and collaborate. What Dr. Ganguly talking about CCT, but I'm talking about CCC. And second is that user, user experiences, and then after the user, so some spelling mistake is there. So,
Sanjay, you would like to finish it maybe within next 5 minutes or so that we get some time for discussion.
Give me some, 7 to 8 minutes more, then I will try to finish as early as possible. So let me come to the point. This is the event what we organized, and the purpose of that event is connect, content, and collaborate. That means purpose of that just to connect your users, to connect users to their design content and collaborate with them further to understand their academic and research needs, so that we can plan our services, we can reorganize and repackage our resources in the way where we can serve them for their maximum satisfaction. So this is the motive of this program, and this was a 5 days program. First day there was a seminar of the librarian just on a ranking of role of libraries in ranking of institution. Second day there was there's a workshop how to get published from the Emerald publication. And good thing is that we have organized and designed a kind of learning games and quizzes. Through that we are able to create an information literacy among the users. And you can see here we have created a quiz where we use Minty.com, and student they have on their mobile there is a quiz, and they're replying on that kind of information related to the resources, available resources and the services. And they had a kind of games like a Pustak Pittu. You can see the Pustak, they collected a few books and developed, prepared in a Pittu. And there is some of more games like a treasure hunt. We had given some 6 clues in the library. One clue is indicating another clue, and where the idea was just to take the users among the resources within the library, and they had enjoyed a lot, and they played the different games and quizzes. Through that, we created an EU information literacy program, and we have interacted with them just to understand what they're expecting from the library. This is the major purpose of that. Once we are able to know what is their expectation and requirement, so that library can plan their services and can procure and curate more resources the way they look forward. And this is the sum of testimonial based on some questionnaire. We are, we have designed. We are releasing an e-newsletter known as Athenaeum, and each and every newsletter collecting that users' experiences. And through that, some of set of questions we are asking, sending them, or they are sending that their opinion about the library, what they're expecting, how they're doing, and how library is performing. So that in case is there a gap, we can understand and we can follow that. And these are all the teams and what they wrote about the library. This is available in library website, and you can see that library newsletter, and you can see all that what our end users are expecting and behaving, and feeling about the library resources. These are the research scholar to whom I'm extending the different kind of services like research support services. For some, we have already started the research management program in our university. Not only extending the services from the library, but also I'm part of the, in teaching. I'm teaching the all research scholar about the research skills so that they can learn all the basic research skills and all the services can be taken from the library. And I will let you know how our leaders at Bennett University think about library services. But idea was that how that all the users are behaving and what are they expecting and how they are involved with the library. This was basically idea. And so far we are focusing on this all the feedbacks and kind of event we are taking place in the Bennett University for attracting and inviting our users to more closer to the library. And we are also having a kind of provision in the system what Dr. Bairappa is explained, the kind of return on investment kind of resources we have curated and procured, and what is the usage, and is there any gap, and any of resources is not optimally utilized. We are meeting and discussing with end users just to know the reasons. Accordingly, we are continuing the resources, or we can drop the resources. So these are some standard practices. It's not quite new, but idea is that until unless whatever you are spending 5 crore, 20 crore, the 100 crore in the library, money whatever you're spending is hardly matter. What matter is that how you're dealing with your customer and what is they're expecting, how you're supporting your customer. This is important. And until unless you are having a good involvement of the library with your customer and their satisfaction level, the whole effort is gone waste. Therefore, keep in view all these facts and figure and thought, we should keep in mind, and we should plan and redesign the library space. We should reorganize the library resources. We have to customize the personalized library services so that we can achieve our maximum satisfaction level. And this is the ultimate message from my side. And thank you very much for your opportunity. I thought this video is working. Otherwise, you can heard from that leader from the Bennett University, where the director he was a former director IIT Delhi and IIT Bombay and other universities, the vice chancellor. What he realized after coming into the Bennett University and how library, which is known as the Learning Source Center, is acting and involved with the users and how we are supporting to our communities. That is remarkable, and the users are quite happy. But still, this is the beginning. We have to do a lot, and we are trying our best to learn from the leaders like IISc Bangalore or that global leaders, so that we can bring their best practices in our university. Thank you very much.
So thank you, Dr. Kataria, for your insightful presentation and highlighting the SERVQual, LeapQual method and how exactly you are playing this user satisfaction measurement in your organization. So there are many questions been asked to the speakers. So, because we do not have much time, we are already in the fag end of the time. I will take only two specific questions. One is specifically asked to Dr. Bairappa that ROI of your library spending. Do you measure it through only the number of publications you published? Because it may be some other metrics you might have been taken. So
Yeah.
could you highlight us on that?
Yeah, please. Thank you for asking that question. I saw 2-3 people asking that question.
Right.
So I never said the 3,000 articles is the only way to measure ROI. That is not true. Two independent statements. I said return on investment is based on the counter compliant usage. So that is the usage. 3,000 articles is a productivity, one of the productivity of IISc. Let's not mix up that. Say, for example, when I say ROI, it's purely based on counter compliant usage statistics. To give you an example, say I have a subscription to Science magazine and I paid 1,000 rupees for that. And if if in absence of that, if I had downloaded 10 articles, it would have costed me $15 like that. So the ROI is completely based on the counter compliant usage, and 3,000 publications is one of the productivity of that. So
what I know, sir, that IISc is also bringing up several patents, and they are also their researches are also being part of several policy making process of Government of India.
And most importantly, the projects we do, projects we do, and we generate a lot of industry income by taking projects. And to give proposals, you need journal content, and also the industry income is huge in IISc. And without content, without accessing to journals and all, you can't use that. So when I say ROI, the clear metric for that is counter compliant usage metrics, but that's not the only one. There are a lot of other.
So just to highlight at this point, in TERI library, in fact, Dr. Kataria has shown that in TERI library we use our library resources. We measure who has used our resources, number of times it is being used, what purpose they served, and how far their usage was satisfactory, and we use questions, answers, or rather the reports coming from Koha platform. We have a SharePoint, usage. We use Google Analytics, and definitely from the publisher's site, we fetch several data. So besides this, we use library, users also, user survey also. So, and manual collection, of course. So those are very much there, but due to this COVID issues, manual collection is stopped, but all other way we are actually collecting data on a regular basis. So that was from my side. Now there is another question, either of the speaker can take it, that user satisfaction. Now one question, let me answer that. ServQual is service quality measurement, and one person has asked, and library quality measurement, when you are applying service quality measurement into library, that makes it LibQual, and that is normally used for deriving library data in a very lucid, graphical, and any kind of designing form. If you use it in any data visualization software, you can get those data analyzed. The one question which I want to ask to different, any of the speaker can answer, that user satisfaction measuring tool for college libraries. Can any one of you take this question, that what should be the best measuring tools? Dr. Kataria, if you can, take this.
Actually, when college library means when you're going to measure, because user satisfaction, I said that is not only what exactly you're giving from the library in terms of resources, but how you're dealing with your customer. This is most important, and there is both method should apply, this quantity and qualitative, because that once you can frame a questions, and this in close-ended questions, and you just say yes or no, or you can scale your services and all together. But there is a need to have an interaction with your users, conducting small some focus group interviews and discussion with them, and what exactly they're expecting, because when you're going to have a one-way questionnaire method, collecting a data from through the question is not enough, because interaction, face-to-face interaction is important, and take their opinion, what they're expecting, and how just note down their expectation, and then you see what kind of resources you have and how you can meet their expectations. As I said, the expectation is unlimited, and resources are the limited. Again, we have to play a role to make sure that what exactly we can serve them, we can support them to make to meet their maximum expectations within our limited resources. So each institution, university cannot be like an IISc Bangalore or the other top institution, because they hardly has a limitation of the funding, and without having a good fundings, is really hard to have an accurate kind of resources what they're expecting. But certainly there is a lot of thing. There is a 10 expectation from my side. If you look at and analyze each and every one step by step, you can see some of things which you can meet, which can be made without spending a single penny. We should take in priorities and we should help them. Then after, you can see other expectations, the rest of 7 expectations. Then you see these are the other 2 expectations which can be managed within your budget. Then you try to meet that. So this is the way. And I have gone through the different literature before this talk, and I found in many places. This is really, is there any library which can have a 100% user satisfaction? And again, I said that this is really, universal truth, that hardly is there a library in this country which can have 100% user satisfaction. But certainly, as a librarian, we should think and we should plan the way that we can meet the maximum satisfaction from our user point. Thank you very much.
Right. So what we understood from Dr. Kataria, from your talk, that while not every library has evolved, or rather this is a evolving process of user satisfaction, and the kind of tools and technologies is a demanding one, and hopefully any such tool will come in near future which will help us to measure user satisfaction index. And there is one final question: how do a developing library overcome this with reference to budgeting? So from my point of view, I can say that budgeting is a issue which has to be dealt based on the previous year usage and expenditure. So from that point of view, means if you have measured the usage of your spending on any of the section on any of the budget, and if your users are satisfied and you need more resources there, naturally budgeting in that heads will go up. So that's the basic theory we apply normally. But if Dr. Bhairappa, if you have something to say on this, you can probably say the last word, because after that, Anant, this is the last question we are taking. So after Dr. Bhairappa's comment, what I have said in this budgeting thing, it's over to you, and then probably you can call Shubhashish ji for final thing. So Dr.
Yes.
Bhairappa, if you have any comment.
I completely agree with you. So in general, the budgeting is always based on previous year's budget, and also user satisfaction and ROI and all of that. At the same time, we plan for a new resources, some percentage always. What is the new thing you are really getting? So we will have some scope for projecting for a new tools. At the same time, we rigorously look at the old existing content. If there is anything which is less used, and we propose that also as a possible replacement for something we are planning to do. So
Thank you.
I completely agree with you.
Thank you.
It's always based on previous year's budget, usage, satisfaction, and something for future needs.
Thank you.
And thank you very much for everyone who have attended this webinar. I would first like to thank SARS, Dr. Siddiq Special, and his excellent and experienced team who have kindly agreed to be our knowledge partner. Their guidance and support is immense and invaluable. I would like to express my gratitude and special thanks to Dr. P.K. Bhattacharya, Senior Fellow and Associate Director, Knowledge Management Division, Delhi, for moderating this webinar. We all are grateful to him. I would also like to express our sincere thanks and gratitude to Dr. Anand Bhairappa, Librarian, Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, and Dr. Sanjay Kataria, Librarian, Trinity University, Greater Noida, for agreeing to be speaker of this webinar and enlightening us with their wisdom. We are honored to welcome each and every representative of this esteemed library fraternity virtually. Who are with us today, and your valuable time you have spent with us. We consider it a great privilege to be associated with you in the endeavor of partnering with your to provide technology-based solution in order to facilitate instant solution of knowledge in various modes to enrich customer experience and to improve your ROI. We sincerely thank once again and look forward to get you all in our next webinar as well, which will be same time, 4 o'clock on 3rd October. Thank you very much and good night.